Welcome back to Authentically Us, the podcast where we talk about what it means to be authentic in everything that you do in every space that you occupy. I'm one of the co-hosts here. I'm ConRoy, and we got the host, Tony. Tony, say what's up to the people.
Yes, the better host. Your boy Tony. What's going on, y'all? Just kidding. ConRoy, we love you, and we're here for you.
Hey, we got a wonderful episode today, but before we jump in, let's give a shout out to our network, MSW Media, for having us on their platform. Take a look. They have some awesome podcasts there. They have some political ones. They have some debate ones. So take a look at their podcast. Also, take a look at our link tree. We have some merch, guys. Support us. If you like us, you'll support us. If you still want content like this, we need your support. So share us, buy some of our stuff. Let us know you're rocking with us. Okay, enough with that. Let's jump into the episode today. Tony, what are we doing today?
Today is another book club episode. So y'all have heard us talk about Made for People. Why we drift into loneliness and how to fight for a life of friendship. Y'all, this book is absolute gold. Definitely a must read. So yeah, we're talking about friendship.
Love it. This was a great book. Thanks for the recommendation, Tony. This book definitely opened my eyes to friendships. We had a whole episode on friendship. And it just opened my eyes to it and just having deeper friendships. What would you say your main takeaway was from this book?
So before we dive into this book, I have to ask, well, out of 5 stars, what would you rate this book and why?
Good question. I'd say I'd rate it a 4 out of 5, just because I can definitely see how this wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea. I also realize how important this book is. It was a good switch up from the books I typically like to read. Yeah, so I would say 4 out of 5. What about you?
So for me, 5 out of 5. I think honestly this book is so like what our culture needs when it comes to friendship. I feel like the word friend has lost so much meaning that like, oh, we interact on Facebook, so we're friends. But you know nothing about me. And you know how he talks about friendship is being fully known and loved anyway. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Now you're right. Like this book isn't everyone's cup of tea because he is a Christian, and so he talks a lot of friendship from a Christian's point of view. But I think, you know, for anyone reading this book, even if they don't follow Jesus, they can gather a lot of good stuff about what friendship is and how to be really intentional about friendship.
Yeah. I was actually talking to one of my coworkers today just about the importance of friendship, and we did a whole episode on friendship, and it just completely opened my eyes about how to be more intentional with friends. And I say that loosely because one thing I like that he said is that you can't be friends with everybody. And the way I grew up a lot of time by myself. You know, my sisters with their dad. You know, me just with my mom, or just me being the only boy in my family. So I love having a lot of friends, a lot of people around. I love being able to make people feel connected. But I also see the importance of covenant friendships, see the importance of intentional friendships, see the importance of making intentional time for friendships, um, and also living in close proximity to friends. One thing I tell a lot of people is yes, I live in California now, and I could move back east. I could move to Virginia. I can move to somewhere where it's way more affordable and have a big house, white picket fence, the quote unquote American dream, and have a house empty. Or I can move to where community is, like I have here in San Diego. And if it means that like I don't have a big house, but I have community, I think that's more important to me. Um, and that's one of the things I realized early in life, that community will save you. And this book just confirmed it. What were some of your biggest takeaways?
Yeah, so I mean that right there, friendship can save you is huge. And like I can even think through like my life, like growing up, I didn't know anyone. Like I was as lonely as you could get. And then when I got connected with you, Blake, Tyler, Justin, Marky, like my whole life transformed. And it was because you y'all wanted to know the real me and y'all love me anyway. Um and it was so different than anything I'd ever experienced. But like honestly, y'all did save my life. You know, like if it wasn't for y'all, I would have easily committed suicide. I was so hopeless, I was depressed, didn't think anyone cared, but it was you guys that kind of changed that narrative. But I also loved in the last chapter, uh, Justin talks about friendship as worship, and he says that just simply being a good friend, we're imitating God and the Trinity. Therefore, it is worship way before we get to reading the Bible, praying, going to small group, going to church. And that, like, revolutionized. Oh my gosh. This is why the world needs to see Christians being good friends. It truly is how people will know we are Jesus' disciples by the way we love one another. Um, and it just helped me think through every single thing that we can do can be worship. Everything we do. So like those are two big takeaways.
I think one of my big takeaways uh, was having that intentional community and intentional connection. And he talked a little bit about, like, he has one friend that he meets with weekly. He has another friend maybe he meets with monthly. He has another friend who he meets with the second Tuesday of every other month. Just something that is intentional, that time is etched in. And I just love that because I feel like humans thrive with structure, even though we like to feel free. We thrive with structure, but more importantly, community thrives with structure. I remember a few years ago, we had this small, large group that was every Friday night, and it gave us something to do and to hang out with people our age, hang out with people that are like in the same mind frame and trying to pursue Jesus here in this crazy world. And I just loved having that. And I also think about, after reading this book, I was thinking about, you remember when maybe 2016, 17. No, it was later. It was probably like 2018 or 19, where we had our like Saturday morning calls with our friends. I think about that time, and it was so special. Like, it was super early for me, but like I knew it was worth it for me to get up to just connect with you guys for an hour and a half or so. And even if it was for like maybe like, 9 months, we'll be like committed to it like every other Saturday. It was a special time. And I think it was great for us because we were all around the country, and just for our friends just to connect. I thought that was very special, as well as the campfires. I thought that was really cool too. How he connected that with the importance of fire in the Bible. How it gives people something to look at, something to talk about. Um, and then also like how fire is like a huge symbol in the Bible, and just how he connected those two together, I thought was just amazing, and just gave me a new perspective on covenant friends.
Right. And like you had said that, Justin has people he connects with weekly, monthly, quarterly. Like, that just goes to show you, just because you're always around people doesn't mean y'all are friends. It's how intentional are you with these people. And something he hits on tremendously is vulnerability. Like, are we letting the people around us see everything about us, good, bad, ugly? And are we experiencing a truly unconditional love and acceptance by them? Because that's really scary. There aren't many people that were like, oh yeah, I can be fully, completely emotionally exposed and know that they ain't going nowhere. Like, and so, um, I I really appreciated that. Did you? Was there anything in the book that you didn't agree with or didn't like the way it was, I guess, worded?
Um, no, I mean, I feel like a lot of it just made sense. I think when I was reading the book, I was just thinking about my different friendships and different relationships, and thinking about how like I think different. I think labeling what that friendship is very important, because there are some friends who you keep at an arm's length, that maybe you just go to the gym with, that maybe they're your coworker or your associate, but there's other friends that you keep close, that I've always believed in that. Um, I have a friend here in San Diego, that I would say on the outside, most people would think that I'm super close with this person, but I know that I'm not, because there's just certain things that I know that I don't go deep with this person with, or I don't connect with this person with, just simply because it's exhausting to maintain a friendship like that. So I love that. Even think about the life of Jesus, right? He has 12 disciples, but he really had his three, and James, Peter, and John. And I think it's very important to figure out who your close people are, so you can be vulnerable. Because I feel like we're so cooped up with our emotions that it's hard to express that with a group of friends, that you don't know if they're going to talk about you behind your back. You don't know if you feel safe in that situation. And I love that he mentioned having covenant friendships, and how he even had like we talk about our friends. For those of you who are following us, we talk about our friends that we've been friends since high school. And I would say we were just acquaintances until we made a decision to get real with each other, and that was like maybe like freshman year of college, sophomore year of college.
Thank you,
Um,
Tyler, for
yeah, and that like bonded us, and it was almost like a covenant friendship that we solidified that we didn't know we were solidifying. And for those of you who don't know, it was this one summer we were just like, hey, we're friends, but like we're not really friends. Like, let's meet in the summer for however long we're home every Tuesday night, and we're just going to get real with each other and ask the questions that we've all been wondering. And we just had to be honest. And I think that was such a pivotal time in our lives. I mean, it's been so long since we've done something like that, but I feel like it wouldn't be foreign for us to like have a guys' weekend and just do it again. So to answer your question, long way to get there. I don't think there was anything that I could think off the top that I didn't agree with, because I'm a big proponent in living in proximity to good friends. What about you? Was there anything you didn't agree with?
so not that I didn't agree with, but I kind of felt was a little idealistic, and I probably was just angry. Um, like this idea of like schedule it and make time for it. Like I agree, good friendship you gotta make time for. We can't just go about life saying I'm sorry we haven't gotten together. Life is just so busy. Yeah, like and Justin talks about like if we don't do something different, we're going to swim along in the current heading for loneliness. But we have to swim against the current, and like I guess with where I'm at, the some of the guys that live in Shippensburg that I'm trying to connect with, I feel like they will make time for it if it's convenient, and they don't make it a priority. And I get frustrated about it because it's like I know I need this, but I feel like other men, and maybe it's a guy thing, that like feel like, yeah, I don't actually need this.
How do you think we could be better at it?
I honestly, I think stop believing that we're made to be independent, and I feel like the biggest lie is that we're self-made. No human being is self-made. We depend on people to get to where we want. It's all about connections. And so it's like let's let's just start saying, yes, I need people more than I need more money, a bigger house, a nicer car, a bigger family. We need friends, deep friendship that can just show us it is okay to be authentically who we are, because we're going to be loved anyway.
Let's talk about the technology part. He mentioned about it. He mentioned that it should enhance human connection. As a Christian, how would you say we can navigate the digital age and maintain and strengthen friendships in a way that aligns with our faith and building those connections?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think not relying on the technology as much, limiting our time on technology so that we can see who's right in front of us. Like, it's insane to me when I go to a dining hall on campus to meet with students. There's a group of 5 students, and they're all sitting on their phones of like, oh, like y'all can make amazing connections right where you are. You don't need a facade of connecting through social media. And like, I'm not saying social media is bad, but I think we've traded something so genuine and glorious for a subpar copycat.
You know, it's hard because I love social media. I love watching funny videos. Right now, my whole TikTok algorithm is this pickleball and then this guy who camps in Alaska and shows how he camps in an igloo in the middle of the woods. Sometimes when it's cold, sometimes when it's most of the time when it's cold. And that's my whole algorithm. And I just love watching those things. But one thing he talked about was that it's great to build that connection. You know, Facebook is great when I can connect with, my great uncle who he's seeing me play my guitar and didn't know I did that. Um, but you're right. It is important to have those face to face, one on one conversations. And I struggle with that from time to time. And the reason why I struggle with that is because people suck. and and I'm a people person and I love people, but sometimes people suck. And like you're saying, like, hey, I want to connect with you. And they're saying, I want to connect with you too. And then that's kind of where it ends. But where's the time commitment?
Right.
You know, or hey, we said we're gonna do something, and now you're not. You keep canceling on me, so it's exhausting. And sometimes I'm just like, people suck. I just want to do it myself. And the self-made is a fun idea, but like you're right, nobody is truly self-made because it does take a team to build things. But that's why I'm like, man, I struggle with that because I love social media. I love being able to connect with people, send texts. I barely pick up the phone anymore unless I have to because I rather either text you or see you in person. So I don't know. That's one thing I guess I could say I struggled with because he was going back and forth. Where like social media is good for this, and group texts are good for this, but then in person is good for this, and I was just like, but I understood it. Like, yeah, I'm like, makes sense, but like, what does that practically look like? You know?
Well, and maybe it's like, I'm with a group of people. We want to watch funny TikTok videos. With technology, stream that joint on a TV and just look at videos in community. So, like, y'all are looking at one video at a time and just laughing. Like, like, that's cool. But why do y'all have to be watching your own individual videos on your phones and thinking that's connection when y'all are doing things together that you could do alone while you're in bed? That's not connection. That's just existing in the same area.
Yeah. Man, there was two things that I really loved from the book. I can't think of the first one, but the second one was at the end, where he talked about how him and his friends just bought some land, in Virginia somewhere, and there's nothing on this land. They maybe built some, tree houses or whatever, but sometimes they'll go camping with their kids, and they'll have hangouts there. But it was like showing their kids what true friendship looks like. I thought was amazing for them to see them adults hang out around the fire with their children around and truly connect. I thought that was such a glorious thing because I don't know about you, but I can't picture um, that happening in my family. Like I don't remember my grandparents having like true friends. Like I can think of family members, I can think of maybe one couple that my grandparents were friends with, but like I never saw their friendship in person.
Right. Yeah, definitely not my mom and stepdad. They were go to work, come home, stay in the house. They would barely wave to neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I hope your kids and my kids someday can hopefully grow up to see what true friendship looks like in adulthood, and they can be friends and all that jazz as well. I wish I could think of the other thing I really liked about the book. It was in the beginning. Oh, it was. I loved. It was like the 5 minute phone call he has with one of his friends. I thought that was so genius because, like, yes, we are really busy, right? Like, I have a bunch of jobs, you have kids, right? And it's just like that 5 minute phone call where he asks his friend, what, 3, 5 questions, like, and they simple answers. And then if they need to follow up, they follow up like later. And I thought that was so genius, especially for guys to connect, right? We don't want to talk on the phone all the time. So it's like, what can we do to connect in a unique way that will actually get us to be real with each other, simply put in guy language that we understand. you know?
Right, like the script he had, I was like, bro, that's genius. And at the very end, when he said, "Have you left anything unsaid?" I was like, bruh, that's when you're really coming in my house and getting comfy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to share the difference between sharing and vulnerability because I think this is huge. So when you're sharing, you're saying, I'm struggling in my marriage. Turning that into vulnerability, or shouting woke up the kids last night and someone threw something. Sharing is also saying, I'm really stressed out at work. Whereas vulnerability says, I'm taking pills to fall asleep because otherwise I can't settle down. And like just the specificity of this is really why my marriage is struggling. This is really why I can't stand my job. Like that is what friendships need to look like and ought to look like. Like we are made for this. In Genesis 1, Adam didn't realize he was lacking anything, but it was God that said, it is not good for you to be alone. Like, you can be lonely with only God. Yes. Like he consistently comes back to that. And I completely agree.
I remember it was 2021, 2020. We all flew to one of our friends' house in Pittsburgh. And, well, I flew. Yeah, I was the only one who flew. Let's be clear. I flew, and we all met there. And it was, what was it? Maybe 36 hours, maybe? It was
If that,
short.
if that.
And we stayed up pretty much the whole time. But I remember that specific time, it was different than our Zoom calls that we were having back in the day, where we would have a call and people would be like, hey, can you pray for this? I'm struggling with this, blah, 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 blah. And then I was just thinking, like, man, we're saying the same things. We're sharing, but we're not being specific. And I specifically remember that time we were sharing, and then I was just like, you know what? Let's be specific. And I just asked, I'm like, hey, you've been saying, you know, I need help with this for so long. Why isn't that changing? Like, what is the real root of it? And I remember it was almost like a break happened. Tears were shed, And it was just a moment that I will remember forever that we shared just because we went past the sharing and stepped into vulnerability. And I think that is really hard for anybody to do, to step into that vulnerability, that vulnerable space, because you're naked. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't want you to see me.
Completely naked.
You're completely naked. I don't want you to see me like this. And I take it as a responsibility as a friend to anybody who I'm friends with. When they share something with me and they're vulnerable, they are putting themselves out there. I try to take it as a personal responsibility to meet them where they're at and to let them know that they are okay and I'm not going anywhere from based off of what they tell me. On the flip side, I don't always believe that I get that on the other hand, and that's the hard part for me because I don't have a lot of friends who I trust with that information.
Right. How there's probably maybe 10% of Americans that truly believe I can be completely exposed, literally nothing hiding in my life, and my friends are down. Like, and why is that? You know, like, as you were talking, like, that, I feel like that is why when people have therapists, they say, oh, you know, it's my paid friendship. Because therapists do this. Like, our clients can share the ugliest, most horrific things about their life, and therapists stay there. They stay in that and connect with clients. And, like, bro, if our friendships were more like that dynamic, like, I don't think there would be as much anxiety and depression and all these mental health issues. But, like, we need people in our lives that can say it's good and okay for you to come out of hiding. You've been alone too long.
I love that. Well, I think we should give our closing remarks on this book. First of all, the book is called Made for People by Justin Early. What's his middle name? Justin something Early.
Whitmel Early.
Yes, Tony has it up there. My closing remark is invest in your friendships, especially the ones that are edifying you, that you feel stronger when you leave them, that it is a give and a take equally. Invest in those friendships because your life literally depends on it.
Facts. Ditto to that. I would also say have courage to name where your friendships are. And even if someone's not a friend, name that too. Because I think by naming that, we stop living in a facade. And we could also invite and say, hey, if you want to be a friend, here's what it requires of you. Friendship isn't easy, and it's not, it's costly business. I'll say that.
Talk about me being the closer. What a close. What a close, Tony. Guys, what another great episode of Authentically Us. This is our second book review, and it has been another amazing one. Our first one, what was the first book, Tony?
Between the World and Me.
Between the World and Me, and this is our second one. So, guys, we don't know if you like these book reviews. Let us know if you do. Let us know another book, but we like them, and this is a great conversation and for us just to grow. And I feel like...
ConRoy, what's our next book?
Oh, shoot. What is our next book? Let me look it up. You know what it is?
Well, we talked about this.
See, this is why...
Our next book, Damaged But Not Destroyed.
By Mike Todd.
The boy.
The boy, guys, we love him, and that's going to be our next book. So, Damaged But Not Destroyed. Go ahead and buy it. Keep tuning in, and let us know about your friendships. Let us know how you can better improve your friendships, and if you learned anything from this one. And if you did, that's okay, because we learned a lot from the book. So go get it. And that's a wrap. Until next time, y'all, be authentic in everything that you do. Peace.
Peace.